Hi, I'm Marshall and I'm the CEO and founder of Parcel. And tonight I'm talking to you seeking further funding to enable Parcel to scale rapidly. In my 20 years of freight and logistics experience, one of the biggest changes has been the explosion of e-commerce home deliveries. And one of my biggest frustrations over that time has been the inability of my industry to come up with a satisfactorily delightful solution for everyone involved. When people are shopping online and they get to the checkout and they don't buy, that's called shopping cart abandonment. And shopping cart abandonment is a $4 trillion a year global problem. And when people are asked why they didn't buy, invariably freight is part of the problem. It's freight's either too expensive, freight's too confusing, or freight's just too slow. And in Australia and the US, when people buy online, it's 3 to 5 working days before the deliveries show up. This is a complex problem, and hundreds of millions of dollars are being invested in trying to find solutions, whether it's domestic transport companies, multinational global players, or startups with apps, drones, robots and phones. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. So my story is I was wandering around a shopping centre one day, and I thought all of these retailers have online stores, and all of the people in the shopping centre have to go home at some stage, whether they work there or whether they're just going home from shopping. And on their way home, they're going to drive past people who've been waiting 3 to 5 working days for their delivery to show up. And so I thought, why don't we just get those people to do the deliveries for us? And so Parcel was born. And this is how it'll work. People will shop online as normal, but there'll be a 3-hour or same-day delivery option. They choose that the retailer will pick the order in the closest store to the delivery address. And when it's ready to go, they'll let Parcel know. And our job then is to find one of our registered Parcel members or parcels who's least inconvenienced to do the delivery. So we're looking for someone who's already in the shopping centre, is likely to leave soon, and is going to be going very close to that delivery address on the way home. They accept the job and then go into the store and pick it up exactly how click and collect works now. And then they deliver on their way home, and for their trouble, we're compensating them with a $10 gift certificate. The important thing to remember is that we can offer this service to our retail clients whenever their stores are open, which lets them sell same-day and 3-hour deliveries on weekends, on public holidays, or in the evening. From a risk management point of view, we've identified 3 key areas. The first thing is that when it's a person-to-person same-day delivery, the success rate is extraordinarily high. The second thing is that our parcels aren't random people off the street. When people register, and you can all register, you register for free, and we get things like name, address, some social validation and where they work. And finally, for the retailers, this is a guaranteed service. We're not going to charge the retailer until delivery is complete, even if that means the parcel has to go online, purchase a replacement item, and ship that one out with another parcel. From an opportunity, this is a massive market, and it's growing at about 10% per year. And the numbers here reflect the domestic opportunity if we just drill down on the people who are abandoning their shopping cart because they can't wait 3 to 5 days. It's important to remember that the US opportunity is about 10 times the Australian market. So next year we plan on doing 600,000 deliveries at $15 a go. The $15 price point in Australia works very well, with most online retailers charging between $10 and $15 for that 3 to 5 day delivery experience. And research and the retailers we've spoken to shows that when people have a fairly priced same-day solution, they're likely to use it and they're likely to not abandon the shopping cart. So we're directly addressing that $4 trillion a year problem. I started Parcel in September last year. We secured some angel investment just before Christmas and started talking to retailers in January and February. We had our official soft launch just last Friday. And I received a text message from one of our potential clients today, which I have to read out to you, where I'm allowed to say that we're working through a process with Maya with a view to find out how we may trial this for our pilot in Frankston. Should we be successful in securing our next round of fundraising, then we'll look to scale, and we'll look to scale rapidly. And the goal is to bring on 60,000 parcels Australia-wide to let us cover every shopping centre, to deploy our app into Messenger so we can communicate with those people quickly and simply, and finally to scale the algorithm to deal with the complexities and the time involved. If you want to know more about Parcel, that's where to find us. My name's Marshall. Thank you very much for listening.
That was great, thank you. My question is around your team, and that last question, last point that you touched on about algorithms. You've got a lot of domain experience in this space. What kind of experience do you or your team have in building that kind of technology?
So in my previous role at a company called MyFreight, we built a cloud-based freight management system from scratch. So I'm not a coder or an engineer, but I've experience running a team and managing the project.
Thanks, Marshall. Yeah, great presentation. I guess my question is really around whether retail is the right market for you. The reason why is I think we're seeing retail begin to move away where retail outlets, where selling is done, is being separated from distribution. You're seeing a lot of retailers begin to centralize distribution to central distribution centers or large warehouses in order to do that. But your business is premised on the idea of picking up from a retail store. There are businesses like Postmates, which are on track to do $1 billion over in the US, and they are targeting food and groceries to do delivery for, which makes sense because the retail outlet can't be separated from distribution because you cook on the spot and you sell groceries from the spot. But how do you overcome retailers who may not necessarily have stock in those retail positions in order for you to distribute them? Because it seems like infrastructurally or market-wise, the market's moving in a different direction. People are centralizing distribution.
They are, and there are some retailers who are centralising and don't have vision on where their stock is, and at the same time there's more and more that are trying to have a full omni-channel complete shopping experience. So whether you're online or you're in the store, it should be the same experience. Of all the retailers we've spoken to, we've only had one say no, and their concern was that it may overwhelm the staff in the store with too many orders. In Europe, stores are moving to put parcel lockers into the store to enable to bring those people in, because when they're ordering online, they still want them coming into the store. So there's it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And all that my post-dates are doing, we're actually completely avoiding food altogether, which seems to be too much of a complex thing. I've got about 120 retailers in the pipeline at various stages of the steps. And if I was in Chadstone and not in Frankston, we would have already launched with some retail partners.
Yeah, my only advice would be just be mindful that the small retailers will probably have all their stock in their retail outlet, and they're probably too small for you. And the large retailers will have centralized DCs, and stock management across multiple retail outlets as opposed to a DC is a hindrance to what your business is. Yeah, just keep it in mind.
Yeah, the other good thing for fashion as well is that fashion, the retailers have told us the same stuff sells everywhere. So that whilst they may have it in the DC, there will be those opportunities. But it's a good point. Thank you.
I have a very quick question and then another question. The first question is, are you pre-revenue?
Yes.
Excellent. And the second question goes to trials. So how many trials have you done, and what have you learnt through that, and what's the biggest risk from deploying this?
So when we say we launched, so we got ready to go, and the trial was ready to start at Bayside Shopping Centre in Frankston. We've thrown a 10-kilometre loop around Frankston and got 160 delivery members ready to go. And now it's just a matter of the processes are ready. We're just waiting to get that trial with that first retailer and figure it out. But to be able to answer your question once we've done the trial is while we've restricted it and controlled it. So we don't want to be doing a dozen shopping centres. So I live and work in Frankston. So if something happens, I can actually go and babysit and handhold the delivery.
So what do you predict is going to be the greatest risk to success?
I think the biggest problem is going to be fulfilment is getting the people in the store trained to get these ready when we want it. So they're busy and they're doing things, and it's, do I go and do this thing or do I get something else? If you've ever bought click and collect, it's sometimes not a seamless process. So we're really encouraging the stores to come on board and make sure that they get it ready quickly so that the person who's waiting at home can get their item pretty quickly.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Marshall. That was great. I guess my question is, what sort of kind of horizon scanning have you done globally? Do you see kind of any opportunities outside of Australia? I know that there's a lot of activity in this space in other markets, or are you focusing purely on Australia and that's as far as you think it will go?
No, I'd like to consider Australia my MVP. And once we get the processes and everything right and the service running, we want to take this to the States. There's 47,000 shopping malls over there waiting for us. And whilst there's a lot of competition in San Francisco and Seattle and New York City where there's high net worth and high population density, once you get out of those areas into more Australia-like conditions, there's not a lot of people sort of trying to chase that down, and I think that's what we're perfectly suited for.
I thought that was a very good presentation and a pitch. I have two questions, or one and a half, and a statement with that. Tell me, who do you consider in Australia to be your competitors? And as part of that question, where do you differentiate yourself, and why do you think you're different from those competitors? You had some in the top right-hand in the matrix, such as GoPeople and others. I've got to disclose an interest in that. But I'm wondering your view, and then I'm going to ask you something else in a minute.
Yeah, so the first thing to say is my target is the people who aren't buying at all. So it's the people who are abandoning their shopping cart because they can't get it quickly. And then to expand on that, the competitors, direct competitors are companies like Couriers Please, or traditional courier companies, or companies like Sherpa, who can offer a same-day delivery. And my edge over them is the fact that because they've got to pay drivers, I'm telling you stuff here today, because they've got to pay drivers $35 or $40 an hour, it's hard for them to get that density for that same-day delivery, because no one's lucky enough that the people who live next door to each other have ordered from the same store at the same time. And that's where they lose a lot of the ability to have drivers doing multiple drops to bring down the cost price. And because we can do it for $10 a drop to pay the driver, we can beat them on price. And the other thing is that weekends, evenings and public holidays, or 2 days before Christmas or even Christmas Eve, it's hard to get couriers. It's hard to get professionals to get out there and do that. And so we think when demand is highest, that's when we'll be most successful, because our supply will also be highest. Yeah.
I get a sense, though, that, well, it says that you're doing crowdsourced drivers, or people are picking up, passers, as you call them. Who do you know in the marketplace that operates like that, and what is your source of differentiation to them?
So when people usually refer to crowdsourcing, they refer to people who aren't technically employees or subcontractors to a company. So someone wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be a GoPeople driver or an Uber driver for the next 3 to 6 hours. And when they're doing that, they're expecting to make a living doing that. And whether it's $35, $40, $50 an hour plus running costs. The key for us is that this is an opportunity for someone who wasn't expecting to make $10 today to now make that $10. So we don't have to charge the retailer $35 or $40 for the delivery. We can charge them a lot less and still be competitive, because you're wandering around Chadstone Shopping Centre and you get a message on your phone saying, would you like to deliver an item from JB Hi-Fi to your next door neighbour? And you go, sure, that sounds great, or no, it doesn't, because I don't want to do it. Either way, we don't mind, we'll find someone else to do the job. Whereas if you were a courier and you receive that job, you've got to drive into Chadstone Shopping Centre, find a parking spot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we think we'll be able to be more responsive when we need to be for those, for our retailers.
I think that's a very good response, and the size of the market that you've quantified. I'll just make a statement now, and I'll finish off on that, which is, in the United States, a lot of food outlets, supermarkets and the like, have been trialling this type of activity, and it's proving to be quite a complex activity, not so much because of the logistics side of it. That's actually been the easiest part in the United States. The harder part for the big stores has been inventory management in their own supermarkets. It has to be all codified. You have to be geo-located space. You have to know, if you go into the supermarket, it's aisle 5, shelf 3, it's up there, so that when the person going past, they don't wasting their time running around the store. The phone actually directs them to where in the store to get the item. So they're doing the pick and pack in the supermarket. To take your version of your model in one step further. Yeah. I think you'll find that in Australia, the codification of easily collecting the goods for passers is actually quite difficult with a lot of the merchants. What is your experience in talking to these merchants? So
we're not, for starters, we're not doing food. We're not doing temperature sensitive food, but we're essentially a click and collect premium service. So we're working with the retailers who already have those processes within the store and within their inventory management, that they already have. For example, Maya have a thing called the hub, where they already have click and collect, they bring it to the central point, and that's when we're going to get involved, is once they've advised us that they're ready to go. So if they don't have inventory, then it won't get to us at all as a potential same-day delivery. It's only given those times when they do have that stock in the store, they can identify they have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marshall. Well done. Well done. All right, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Joseph and I'm the head of growth at Vista. Vesta has been around for the last 4 years. Essentially, the first 3 years were all about developing our technology. The last 12 months have been about commercialization. So far, we've signed up and onboarded more than 300 clients in the Australian timber and hardware industry. Essentially, Vesta is a marketplace for destination partners. So we are a centralized API that sits in the middle and distributes product data between retailers and suppliers seamlessly. These are some of our clients. The problem that Vesta solves is a systemic and a structural problem that is impacting most Australian industries and their suppliers and the retailers. So in Australia, the largest problem that businesses are facing is breaking through the technological glass ceiling. The costs related to these are huge. We're talking about hiring the right people, finding the right technology, and the time that it takes to implement those technologies. For example, if you go to major e-commerce platforms, this is most likely how their front end looks like. However, when you go to their back end, their story is very different. For suppliers, distributing product data for hundreds, if not thousands of retailers is very time-consuming and expensive. Retailers have the same problem. It is a very big problem. So let's quantify the problem. I'm going to share with you an example of a very famous Australian brand that everyone knows in this room. This is actual real data of the problem they had. So they had, give or take, around 489 total suppliers. Then if you multiply that on average by 200 products per supplier, and then on top of that, if you have a very efficient team that spends a minute per product, this equals to around 204 business days of data entry. This is manual labor. This is a huge problem, big. We're talking about over a year, if you think about it. So, but this is where it gets worse. If you take 204 business days and you multiply that by 12, which is each month of the year, you normally make changes. And then of course you have 363 stores. This equals to Dick Smith. Now you guys know the fundamental reason why Dick Smith went bankrupt. They couldn't transition fast enough into digital from physical. So we know there is a huge problem. And in order to solve a huge problem, you need a radical solution. And radical solutions nowadays come in the way of a breakthrough technology. Thus Vesta. Vesta simplifies businesses' workloads. Vesta transitions businesses from physical to digital. Vesta gives businesses visibility, connectivity, shareability, and measurability. Vesta lowers the barriers. Vesta is an enterprise-level solution for everyday businesses. So this is how it works. Suppliers upload their product data to our centralized master data platform, EIAP, then connect with their retailers and distribute their product data seamlessly. Retailers pull that data in real time. It's in the cloud. So if Dick Smith would have used Vesta when they had this problem a few years ago, they would have solved the problem in around 10 days, business days. So chances are that Dick Smith will still be around sharing the story. So with Vesta, businesses win. Thank you. So what we're after, this is the catch. So these are the key stakeholders that we have right now. We have influencers and engagement partners working with us. We're trying to tap into the right industries and the right market and the access. And if you are the right stakeholder, I'm talking to you guys, and you over there, get in touch. I want to talk to you. There is a lot of things that we can do together. So. Give you a few seconds and you want to take my details, and we get into Q&A
All
right
right,
away.
I'll ask you a question first.
Yeah,
then
sure.
we'll go back the other way. What are you asking for in terms of, is it dollars or is it capability or support or help? And where are you in the business build out?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time and your question. Appreciate that. So where we at, if you think about it, influencers, the reason why we're asking, do I have a pointer, like a red dot or something? Well, whatever. So influencers, what I mean about influencer is someone like yourself, CEO of Australia Post, who have access to a huge portfolio of clients that have this problem, so we can go and fix it. In terms of where we at, we have pretty much, we have 300 clients, all in the timber and hardware industry. So we're going for the beachhead strategy. We're going vertical by vertical. We got HBT, which is the second largest timber and hardware buying group in Australia. They have around 700 independent buying groups, independent stores, and around 444 key suppliers. They're our client. And we're also working with Mitre 10 at a lower level, and we're working with HTH, which is part of the Mitre 10 group now, part of Medcash. And yeah, so we're doing pretty well there, but we want to go into different industries. And we're what you call now validation of the market. We're doing high-level meetings, and we're doing leader launches and events like that, webinars. We're making sure that we gather the right data. And in terms of funding, we're through the second round. We're good with money so far for the next 24 months. We just want to make sure that we talk to the right people in the right industries that have this problem. So we start to helping them because we got case studies already. We can prove to them that our technology works, and we can, essentially help them, because the idea is that our businesses don't go through the same process as what is happening in the US, where you got hundreds of stores closing every day, as JCPenney's. So, and it's happening because they couldn't cope with transition, and we can do it very simply. Thank you.
I guess thank you very much for that. That was great. So I think my question's a bit of a selfish one. Do you think there's a business case for Alibaba or Amazon to actually lower the barrier for this to happen?
Well, I don't really know Jack Ma personally, but I know he's a visionary, and essentially I want to show you a few slides. So I do have a bunch of things that I want to, if you ask me the right questions, I'll show you here. So if we go here, these are the trends, right? So you got the trends here, and we've identified 2 driving trends. So for example, we got emergence and dominance of online retailers, yourself, Amazon, and a few others, and maybe you. And then, of course, the other major trend, which is as a consequence of Amazon and Alibaba in the last 20 years, is transition from bricks and mortars to bricks and clicks. However, what's happening is that transition has been as a consequence of you guys coming into the market. And if you think about it technically, this is Amazon's business model. They sit in the middle, warehouse, centralized, as he mentioned. And then you got the customer, suppliers, great interface. It's great service. Then you guys, just Jack Ma's thinking, you know what? We don't want those costs. Let's just drop ship. Let's just get rid of that and, curtail them. And essentially, once you have our platform in place, we give you the ability, if you have the right technologies, to choose either of those 2 business models, so they can directly compete with you if you don't deliver the solution that we do. Because essentially, we are the Apple or the Compaq of today's world, because you are IBM and you're the big boy, and we just want to help the small boys, which is, if you think about it, everyone, 95% of the world market is based on MMEs. But there are ways in which we can work together, I'm sure, for sure. Yeah, just go back to Q&As if you guys have questions. Yeah, hope that answered your question.
So I have a comment and a question.
Sure.
My comment is was once an academic, and
Sure.
I'm very fond of PowerPoint. But I think it comes to a point when you move to the startup world that you've got to let go of your fondness of PowerPoint and be really confident in your own knowledge and what you're trying to say. And there's a few things that I look for as someone who does invest in startups.
Sure.
First of all, team. More than anything, I want to invest in someone, and you're clearly really passionate about what you're doing. But I want to know that you've got a grasp of your entire company, and that's about having the right vision to move forward. It's about understanding your competitive landscape, the global opportunities. I think what you've done is really articulate your passion for this area and give a really good description of what your product does, and I understand that really well. But you could probably summarize it in one thing you said, which is we help business transition from physical to digital. And that could be done in one slide. So I would really encourage you to look at your pitch deck. You've clearly got passion, but I think you need to think really strongly about how you get across that you are the person to back as opposed to competitors. So my question is, who are your competitors in the startup landscape? And there are some, and I have to say that I've invested in one, but why invest in you as opposed to one of your competitors?
Sure. Thanks for your comment and opinions and question. So if we jump into this, so Vesta empowers businesses. As I said before, we're a centralized API. So we sit in the middle. And there, if you think in terms of the competitor landscape, there is one company, which is the closest to us, but not really, which is called SKUVantage. SKUVantage essentially focuses a lot on the content creation of side of things for the images and things, but they also have sort of like a cloud-based solution. Most of the people, they see it as PIMs or DAMs or databases or things like that, but they're not essentially an API that connects with everybody. They hold data, yes, and they connect with some systems, but not with everyone. And if there is any competitors out there, there must be in a very early stage, because I don't really know any, and I definitely want to know them, because it's great to learn from competition. It's very healthy to have competitors. And essentially, our team, to answer the other question, we are 14 people right now. I'm the head of growth. The head of technical sales is somewhere by our booth. We have a BDM in Sydney. We have 5 engineers. We have a graphic designer, our CEO, our chairman, and we got 2 or 3 interns. Now, as part of our engagement partners, we're working on a relationship with Swinburne University. I'm a Swinburne alumni, and we're working to get interns through that program they have. So there is a high likelihood that in a few months we're going to have a bunch of interns for marketing purposes and things, and we're always looking forward to grow the team. We got the funding to do that, so we're, as you said, passionate. We know what we're doing, and when you can dream, you can do it. So we're well tracked to get there. So yeah.
Thanks for that. Quick question. Have you guys considered other customers besides retailers? I know you touched on marketplaces not potentially being a customer. I kind of see this potential in a marketplace being a customer. Alibaba had issues maybe about a year or 2 ago around fake products. I would assume services like yours will help to maintain marketplace integrity, and that's important for large marketplaces. Kind of exploring other customers besides the retailers, whether that's the actual brand itself, whether that's the suppliers, whether that's the marketplaces, right?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So if you think about it in this point of view, so for retailers, those are the main things that we do for them. We do a lot of things. Web rooming is a big one. It's happening big time. If you have your furniture business that you want it to be super, differentiated, you want to make sure that you have the right information and those points there. Real-time data is essential. So if you think about it from that point of view, we can essentially be in the middle of anyone who needs to move data. So if you think about it from this technical point of view, EDI. Whatever EDI needs to be moved, we can move it through our pipeline, and we got ways in which API can do it. So it could be wholesalers, it could be manufacturers, it could be resellers, it could be suppliers, it could be retailers, it could be even hospitality. If you the need needs to be there, because once you control the data and it's centralized, it's essentially talking to the right people about their problems and the way they need to have that data shown. For example, do you need tailored catalogs to each of your stores? Do you need a product directory? Do you need to improve your inventory quality and the information availability? Do you need to have visibility all the time? Do you want to have an e-commerce platform that is fully populated and not an empty WooCommerce e-commerce space? Or because the problem is people are not giving you the data, we help you to get that. Once you have the centralized data, it doesn't matter who you are, what part of the supply chain you are, we can help you to connect with your key stakeholders. For example, one of our clients needs to give, sorry.
Can I just jump in? Yeah. So just related to the marketplace point, you've kind of got a marketplace problem in that you need both sides to get that centralised data.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really interested, just quickly because we're short on time, but how you plan on going to market and whether you... Actually, I'm not going to lead you in any direction. I'll let you answer.
That's a good question. So essentially, in terms of growth, you're a retailer, right there. You invite your suppliers. We have like a social media sort of web platform like Facebook, where if you're a supplier, you get invited. And once you sign up as a supplier, we have two portals for suppliers and retailers. Then you invite your suppliers and your retailers, and then you go to infinity. And then the incentives are, we monetize both sides. So you have free plans, and then you have, tailored plans that you pay based on the volume of data that you move around. So depending on how big you are and how much power you have as a retailer or as a supplier, you would pull the market in. And we're trying to clamp the industries in ways that we know who to talk with the biggest problem. And then once the suppliers are there, the retailers would come because they have the problem. And it's the opposite. Once the retailers are there asking for data from the suppliers, they would come because 40% of their pipeline could be based on those sales or the future sales online.
Just on that, just a quick data point and a piece of advice for you. We've seen quite a few businesses in this space that are focused on specific verticals, which is a lot easier. One thing that the ones that are starting to do really well focus on is going after suppliers first. And the reason for that is because they can automatically give you that distribution that you just referred to. But if you try to do it the other way around, you may encounter, one, extremely high costs and low efficiency, and two, you won't get the speed and the distribution that you're looking for.
Welcome to my day-to-day life.
Thank you very much, Joseph, from Vesta Central.
Hi, everyone. I'm Penny Whitelaw, co-founder and CEO of To Me Love Me Fashion Technology. We improve fashion e-tailing by helping customers find apparel that fits, flatters, and is personalized to their unique body shape, size, and style. I'm here to share this awesome opportunity with you and to find a retail partner to collaborate with. Fashion e-commerce is booming. Women's wear is forecast to reach $46 billion this year. Incorrect fit accounts for an average of 40% of lost profitability, damaging consumer trust and diluting brand loyalty. With online shopping growing exponentially and expectations for seamless, accurate, and personalized experiences at an all-time high, fashion retailers are looking for innovative ways to increase the bottom line. Our globally unique SaaS solution, designed specifically for the online apparel industry, addresses the challenges faced by both audiences. We help customers find apparel that fits, flatters, and is personalized to their body shape, size, and style, which helps retailers lower returns, increase sales, and better engage. We've kept the functionality really simple because, let's face it, we're all time poor and incredibly impatient. You enter your body measurements, answer 6 profiling questions so we get to know you, what you love, and what you're looking for. This is where data science and our algorithms' expert rules come into play, matching the retailer's data with your unique data. Within seconds, you get an accurate read on your body shape to better understand what suits you best and are presented with relevant fashion in your perfect fit. You can browse by apparel, occasion, or brand, curate and save a number of different looks, enhancing with accessories along the way. You can even share with the online community and get fellow customer feedback. Purchasing your fashion finds directly on the retailer's website or app makes the entire process quick, seamless, and hassle-free. But as you well know, a product means little without the people who make it possible and believe what you believe. Our founding team is made up of 3 dynamic individuals, Nicola, Nico, and myself. We each bring a unique skill set to our team and collectively have over 30 years of best practice business nous. We're incredibly fortunate to have a team of industry experts who work with us, helping make our dream a reality. Our competitors fall into 2 distinct categories. They either offer a size solution or a style solution. So what makes us unique? Our approach is different. We don't just get your fit right, we go one step further by personalizing your experiences so they're relevant to you. Fashion e-commerce, women's wear in particular, is forecast to reach $46 billion. We have identified that our core market is at 30%, Even if we aim for 10% of the market share within our first few years of operation, taking the existing return rates into account, that translates to a $55 million opportunity. So where does this opportunity lie? Pure play retailers, independent brands, niche labels, and department stores. This year we will run a free pilot program with one Australian retailer. Our objective is to A/B test our technology with real data to get real results. In 2018, we launched in the United States, followed by the UK and European markets. In 2021, we pivot slightly, tapping into the plus-size fashion industry, first in existing markets, followed by Latin America, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. We've undertaken more than 12 months of concentrated R&D, hosting focus groups around the world with retailers, influencers, and online shoppers to better understand them, validate the need, and articulate our solution. Our research has concluded a unanimous need. To Me, Love Me will fulfill it. If you're a fashion retailer or you know someone we can collaborate with, we'd love to talk with you.
Thank you, Penny. That was great.
You're welcome.
My question is not around the need, which I think you've articulated really well, and it's definitely a big problem for everybody who engages in online shopping of clothing. But I think you've inadvertently introduced another barrier, which is entering information. And so I'm wondering what thought you've given to that and how you can make it a really seamless experience and how much control you have around it as well. Because obviously you've got to integrate this with online solutions like Shopify and others who are using storefronts or in-house solutions or whatever it may be. And then you've got to continuously update that. And then the consumer has to type in or write in. Yes, it's only once, but they still have to do it. And that in itself could lead to shopping cart abandonment. So I'm just interested in your thinking around that issue.
Good question. We've played with a couple things. I'll answer the immediate question, then I'll elaborate on what we've explored so far. Can everyone hear me okay? So we require 4 metrics in order for our algorithm to work to get the fit correct. So we take those 4 metrics. At the moment, we're looking at a manual selection via pick-a-bar, so in inches or centimeters, depending on the market. The reason we've gone with this is high rate of accuracy. We're aiming for a minimum of reducing returns by 30%. That's double than the competitors and people in the marketplace are already going for. So already that's a big shot. We want to get that accuracy right, and that's why we've kept it to manual. When we originally started, we were looking at doing the selfie snap of the body and using that to then create an avatar, something really cool and quirky. We tried it, we tested it. I banged my head against the wall for a long time. I wouldn't give up, but the accuracy wasn't there. And at the end of the day, we're about powering business performance. We're about increasing bottom lines, but also engaging with customers. If I was going to invest in a business, I want to see results. So we decided we'd stay with the metrics. We take the 4, we'll make the user experience really simple through pick-a-bar, and we'll adapt. We've recently met with an Australian startup. I don't know if Punk Office is in the room. Really cool. And we're going to look at exploring that augmented reality at a later stage. But for now, we're going to stick with the manual process. And it's not that manual. If you played with it, you'd see it's basically a little roll and scroll. Feels like you're playing the slot machines. It's really quite fun, actually.
Thanks for that, Penny.
You're welcome.
I'm actually, I know a fair bit about this space. I've actually run startups in the custom clothing space, so I know getting measurements is hard. One comment is definitely don't underestimate the cost of acquisition for a customer to actually put through their measurements. It's actually hard. I'm sure you know of a business called Indochino. They're based out of Canada. They do made-to-measure clothing for men. They have actually started what they've been doing for a while, very large pop-up events, sometimes in Grand Central Station, New York, and so on. And the whole idea there isn't really to sell customers clothing. It's just to get their measurements. So there's a huge data play that you have, but I think you're going to have to work out the economics of acquiring a customer and getting the measurements, because don't underestimate underestimate how lazy a customer can be, because even an extra step or an extra click, as we all know, is very painful. I think the other thing that I'm interested to hear from you is how you guys see tackling the problem of digitizing the actual clothes, because it's one thing to get the measurements of the customer, it's another thing to really know what the measurements of all the clothing is. And there are businesses over in the UK like Metail, and what they do is that they've actually offered a service for the retailers where they will help to take photographs of the retailer's clothes and through technology quickly merchandise them onto models. And that makes sense for the retailer because there's a value proposition there. But more importantly for them, they digitize those measurements so that when a customer actually puts in their measurements when they're buying stuff, they know exactly that it will fit according to what it is. How do you overcome a problem like that?
There are a couple of challenges, and it's very interesting because every market's completely different. But most retailers, or let me go back. There are two types of retailers in the studies that we've done and the people that we're talking with, both overseas and in the local market. Some of them own their production, so they own their factories where they actually produce their garments. So they have access to that IP, they have access to the garment metrics. But hardly any of them have it collated in one central place. Surprise, surprise, which is crazy, I know, but this is the case. Then the others outsource to a third party, a lot of them offshore because of cost effectiveness, fast fashion, wada, wada, wada. We all know that story, right? So basically, we need to be able to capture the garment metrics for our algorithm to work to get that fit properly. You know, most online sites at the moment are showcasing the sizing, but it's actually body measurements. It's got nothing to do with the garments. So when you order your size 10, you're very excited, but you get there and it's actually a 12. So that's the problem. Part of the algorithm takes into account that we have a data set that we can provide to a retailer where we can capture their metrics and have that as an updated process. This is a big part for us in the pilot program, and hence running a pilot program to earn our stripes, because we need to take a capsule collection to pull this data, to test every step of the way, to make sure that from the production line through to the end where you guys are actually clicking and collecting, it's working seamlessly. But yeah, we've taken account of that. Fantastic. Because that's huge.
Yeah.
Essentially, our algorithm doesn't work without that data.
Fantastic. Great. Yeah. Good to hear that you guys are tackling that. That's great.
Great presentation.
Thank
Thanks
you
very much. One of your slides looked at your sort of pathway going forward, and
yes.
you went from pilot to global expansion, which is a very rapid acceleration. I think a lot of startups have these grand ambitions to grow very quickly, but growth is often the most challenging part of a business. So what are you going to do to acquire retailers and customer growth on both sides of your double-sided market in Australia? And how long do you think that will reasonably take to make some real tractions before, what do you need to do before you're satisfied that you can go global?
Great question. And yes, we are ambitious, and I actually dialed the figures down accordingly. But my horizon map looks quite different, in my head at least. We've got 2 points to tackle the market. So the reason we're wanting to do a pilot program in the Australian market is because it's a smaller market. It's relatively slower to adapt compared to the United States, for instance, when it comes to fashion. What we're doing is completely different. With the retailers we've spoken to, they've already said, wow, amazing, something new, totally committed to it. So we're excited about that. We're wanting to pilot here, we're wanting to earn our stripes. We're talking to one retailer who's particularly said that they're wanting to go global. They already have global footprint, but they're wanting to do something else, and they see this as a key way to do that. So we would look at, hopefully it all goes well, if things progress as they are, piggybacking on with them and actually taking our solution with them globally into 2 new markets that would cover the Australian and that would cover them. We'd also have the resources, obviously, to support that. The idea of going global into the United States, I know it's a huge market. It's terrifying and terribly exciting at the same time. We've got partners in the US. We've got a very strong network in the retail space there, as well as the UK and European markets, and we're looking to tap into that and go globally with them. So those are the markets we've identified because we already have feet in the door, so to speak. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Thanks.
Penny, I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you.
I think it was really nicely laid out and very clear. I think a question for me, and it's kind of a basic one, is this something that women want? Like, we live in an age of individualism where people want to hand select their own styles. They want to feel like they have ownership over the way that they look. Do you think this is something, do people want to be told by an algorithm what they wear? So I guess my question to you is, what sort of research or discussions have you had with your target consumers, and what sort of feedback are you getting from them?
Yeah, good question. There are two answers to that. First of all, we've spent over 12 months doing market research, so both with retailers, influencers, and online shoppers. We spoke to over 1,000 consumers in the European market, close on that in the Australian market, and about double that in the US. Lots and lots and lots and lots of conversations at all levels, starting from 20-year-olds through to 55-year-olds. Basically, there were two things that came out of everything. Women want surety of fit. They want to know that it's going to work the first time round, and they want it personalized to them. So whatever that looks like. Now, you and I are completely different. Our shopping behaviors are different. What we wear is different. Our sense of style. The way we dress is an expression of who we are, right? The algorithm is not telling you, you look hot in a blue suit. Or saying, you know, we prefer a little chambray number on you. That's not what it's about. The idea is to get to know you, to build a bond between a retailer or a brand and their consumer, and use that data to then start to talk to them on a personal level. So you should, in all intents and purposes, when you open whatever, say Ted Baker, for example, suit, you know, you're getting the suits that are suited to you. You're getting the ready-to-wear or the weekend wear that's suited to you. You shouldn't be looking at anything else that's relevant to Ahmed or that's relevant to me. So it's not the algorithm saying you should dress like this. The algorithm is saying, hey, I know you, James. Loving that on you. What about this? What about this? The more you use it, the more articulated it's going to be to you and what you love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll
Quick.
be very quick then. Quickly summarise for me your
Yes.
economic model for making money for yourself in this. How do you make money? And then the other quick one, it's probably not an easy answer, is what's the difference in your thinking between having done retail versus going wholesale, i.e. providing this as a database measurement system, say for Maya or somebody like that to better engage their customers?
So the first one is our business is a SaaS solution. So it's based on a subscription model, 12, 24, 36 months. There'll be 3 tiers involved. The tier 1 and tier 2 will be capped based on usage. The tier 3 will be uncapped and unlimited. The way we worked it is on a sliding scale. So the longer term you use, the more benefits, the more features. That's basically our bread and butter business. And then there's the bolt-on effects. So the fries with that, the value adds where we can actually make more money and greater margins. There'll always be an element of customization involved because every retailer talks to their customer in a different way. So there's an opportunity there. And the real opportunity comes in the granular data that we can provide over and above what they're getting from the analytics. So that's basically our model right now. We're early stage. We do have a vision. We do have a model in place. But for now, while we're testing and we're seeing the results and what the performance is on the business, we really are quite fluid with how we're going to price that, if you like. The second question goes to retail or wholesale. We haven't explored wholesale at all at this stage. We're really focused on retail and looking at businesses with omni-channel presence. But I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Penny.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm the founder and managing director of Cable Geek. Cable Geek is an online retailer that sells trusted mobile accessories at low prices. I'm here today to look for investments. The mobile accessories market in Australia is simply broken. Firstly, the consumer market is filled with products of questionable quality. It can be a hassle to replace a badly damaged cable once in a while, but when it comes to products like chargers and power banks, bad quality products can be a safety hazard. Secondly, the big retailers charge a huge markup on simple products like USB cables, which are really cheap to make. Thirdly, buying mobile accessories online is still very hard. The domestic shipping costs are sometimes so high that it's sometimes much cheaper and easier to just buy from overseas. The solution is Cable Geek. We've created an entirely new online shopping experience designed for the tech-minded consumers in the 21st century. We only sell the best products from reputable brands. We provide free shipping, even for a single cable, and Australian fulfillment, which brings down the delivery times from weeks to days. We have a team that delivers. I have a day job that's the co-founder of CoinJar, Australia's leading Bitcoin wallet and exchange, with trading volume that just surpassed $150 million. I'm also a full-stack engineer with 5 years of experience. My co-founder, Eileen, is a Master of Business Analytics graduate from Melbourne Business School. She is Google AdWords certified with a wealth of international work experience across business, analytics, and marketing. Our model is proven by strong sales growth and attraction. Consumers love our products and they keep coming back for more. We are entirely self-financed, but over the first 7 months of operation, we've achieved almost $200,000 in sales with a month-on-month growth of 30%. Behind the strong sales growth is the amazing reviews from our customers. We've achieved a 4.9-star rating from Google Customer Reviews, which is virtually unheard of in the industry. So how do we achieve this feat in this ever more competitive e-commerce market? Our strategy is the combination of great products, mobile, and logistics. We partner with global brands directly to bring their best products to Australia. Our focus brands, Anchor and Orki, have great reputation overseas, but we have virtually no local competition. Mobile is also our strength. Our customers use PayPal Express checkouts and Apple Pay to shop without entering credit card numbers or addresses. Actually, over 35% of Cable Geek purchases are made on a smartphone. When it comes to logistics, we've partnered with Australia's leading 3PL company, eStore Logistics, to provide cost-effective fulfillment. By sharing the same state-of-the-art warehouse facilities with leading online retailers such as Kogan, we are saving costs from day one while growing our own business rapidly with no fixed investments or constraints. The competitive landscape is currently dominated by the major retailers and online discounters. The choices for consumers are rather limited. Today's consumers are increasingly seeking variety and quality rather than just low prices. This is exactly where our target market is: quality-conscious consumers who value great designs and an easy shopping experience. So where do we go from here? In the coming months, we're going offline. We are working with Blue Shift to launch Australia's first mobile accessories instant pickup service. Customers will be able to shop on mobile, pay with their favorite mobile wallet, and have their products ready for collection in one of the participating news agencies around the country, all within 60 seconds. The opportunity is immense. Globally, mobile accessories is turning into a $100 billion market, and our journey had just started. Our vision is to become the premier mobile accessories retailer in Australia and New Zealand through a loyal customer base, industry thought leadership, and cutting-edge e-commerce innovations. To reach our ambitious goals, we need your help. We are raising $250,000 on a $1 million pre-money valuation. We will invest the amount raised on more inventory, product development, and marketing. If you're interested in the opportunity, let's talk. Thank you for listening.
I think you did a really good job, so well done on that. Just give me an example in practical terms. If I go down to, I don't know, JB Hi-Fi and I wanted to buy an iPhone charger, what's the cable cost? If I go pick it up from them, what are you charging? And what's the turnaround from, I guess, China or wherever you're buying it from to Australia?
So if you go down to JB Hi-Fi and buy an iPhone cable, the typical brand is Belkin, and our cheapest model they're selling is at least $24. Usually they sell for $29. If you buy from Apple directly, that will cost about $29 as well. So Cable Geek, on Cable Geek, the cheapest certified Lightning cable costs only $17. It's Australian shipping, so it takes only 2 to 6 business days, depending on Australia Post delivery times.
Which I've heard is pretty good, right?
Well, yeah, based on
Depends upon your
customer
answer,
feedback,
what score I give you right now. So what do you think of Australia Post's shipping time?
For parcels up to 6 business days, we also offer express post option for $5.50.
It's good, isn't it? That's all you have to say.
Yeah, customers love it. We ship exclusively with Australia Post.
So thank you, Ryan. That was really good. What's your marketing strategy, your user acquisition strategy? How is that working?
So we use a multi-channel marketing strategy. So the majority customers go to our website, but we also have an eBay store that we can get some traffic from eBay as well. On our website, most of the customers come from Google AdWords and Google Shopping ads. So we are really good at doing AdWords marketing, and we are pretty much I guess like the dominant player in this space because we're so focused on mobile accessories and related products.
Thanks.
Congratulations, great presentation, and you've clearly built a successful startup business here. I am very interested in the difference between startups that are small in opportunity and startups that are really strong in growth and global opportunity. And one of the things that differentiates that is what's your competitive intellectual property? What stops someone else coming in and doing exactly the same thing?
I think the biggest value of CableGeek is the end-to-end optimization of our entire supply chain and how we deal with our customers. We have like an identity crisis here. Like, are we a traditional business or are we a startup? And some say that startup is defined by the uncertainty in the business model. And some also argue that startup is based on strong growth. Like, we kind of have both factors in here. In terms of competitive intellectual property, our biggest defensibility is the platform itself. I'm a full stack software engineer myself and understand the space. And I guess for most of our competition, especially the larger retailers, the challenge is the transformation into digital retail and the challenges of digital marketing. But for us, it's basically the core of what we do. And basically to bring down the cost, we need huge economies of scale as well. So that's also part of the defensibility play.
Thanks, Ryan. First of all, let me comment. I've never seen a competitor slide where one of the axes is awesome and crap, so that's really, really cool. It's very inventive, it's great. I guess my question kind of relates to Kate's is around defensibility of your business. Where you're selling a product that can largely be commoditized. It's not impossible to build a great retail business selling a third-party product where you're selling someone else's brand. But things such as good marketing or a good platform can easily be erased by another competitor coming into the market, probably with more money. How do you see yourself actually being able to build competitive advantages that are defensible over the longer term?
If you go to our website, cablegeek.com.au, you will see that the product presentation is probably the best you've seen out of all the e-commerce stores you've shopped with. That's actually part of our strategy as well. We provide the best outlet for suppliers, for brands to present their products digitally. And it's not just about the product data in itself or the simple product descriptions or the marketing copy. It's more about the presentation and the entire end-to-end shopping experience that many brands choose to work with us simply because we bring their products in the best possible light and they can sell with the best margin possible. On the other hand, in terms of our technology, as I've also presented, we are working with Blue Shift to do the instant pickup model. That will give us defensibility against major retailers such as Amazon coming into Australia. Sure. Because when you have, let's say if you are in a situation that you have only one cable and it's broken and you need another cable urgently or other kind of mobile accessories, the last thing you want is to go to Amazon and have 1,000 choices available when you can just go to CableGeek, find a good cable, that's tried and tested and certified, and have it ready for collection instantly just next door.
Great. My only other thing that I would ask is, have you considered other business models around the mobile charging sort of space? Have you heard of a business called Xiaodian out of China? So they do subscription, you pay a base amount, and they have portable charging stations all across China where you basically can pay a subscription and go to any of these outlets and charge your phones. I think businesses like that are interesting. They've raised $100 million recently from Tencent and Hangzhou venture capital fund. And what's interesting about their business is they open up the market where not everybody may want to buy a portable battery, but if you subscribe to a business where there are portable charging stations all across the country, you're more likely to pay that because you don't want your iPhone to run out of battery. So that, for me, seems to be a quite an interesting different business model that could be more defensible than this. Yeah.
So I think you win the prize for the best looking slide deck, which is great. In addition to the awesome and crap comment, I think your slide deck looks fantastic. And for the other founders here as well, I think the slide decks have been really good tonight. My question is around your team, and you didn't realise you were still at CoinJar, but one of the things that we have real trouble with when a business comes to us is where the founders have multiple interests or aren't full-time. And sometimes it's really, really hard. Depends on your personal circumstances. You might have a mortgage and 3 kids, and therefore a startup isn't really the thing for you. But through experience, we've found that unless you're full-time on something, particularly to Ivan's point, when a lot of your advantages that you might have now can be eroded over time, and in quite a short amount of time as well, if someone's active enough, you need to put everything into this to build some sort of advantage. And really the only advantage that you can build in this space is having a larger share of the market than anybody else, and then being able to turn that into a bit of a flywheel. But you can't do that when you're not full-time. So my question to you is, why aren't you full-time?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Cable Geek is profitable. We're not cash flow positive yet because of the huge inventory involved, but we are very profitable. And Eileen has been helping me a lot with a lot of the admin tasks, the analytics, and some of the marketing stuff as well. I guess Cable Geek does present a very interesting opportunity for myself personally. I guess scaling the business takes some time, and then especially Cable Geek is pretty much the most traditional out of all the business I've involved in the past 5 years, and it's usually constantly waiting for other stakeholders rather than trying to grow yourself. So I guess commitment is actually an issue that I need to think about in the long term, but I guess ongoing management has been pretty good, and we are growing really quickly despite this limitation. Thanks.
I just wanted to again just show off what we're offering to our winners. This is $150,000 worth of services and resources. Services like Amazon Web Service hosting space. We have marketing consulting, law consulting, data consulting, a bunch of different resources as a prize pack to help our winner grow, and that is what is at stake. So now that is out of the way, we are ready to announce the winner. So we need a little bit of noise. We have a tradition here. Can we get some feet stomping? Clapping. Harry?
It's To Me, Love Me. So... Congratulations.
Penny? Come up. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. That's amazing. Nick! Woo! That was terrifying. And thank you, everyone, for being so lovely. These girls in the second row, you guys were awesome. You were smiling the whole way. Wow, overwhelmed. This is an amazing opportunity for us. We've spent 2 years of our life, a substantial part of my savings, to get to where we are now. And we've had the most amazing collaboration. I don't know how this is possible because no one we've spoken to has said, oh, that's a shit idea. Everyone said, wow, awesome, how can we help? And when you're a little player, like a lot of the startups are when they start, and we still very much are, you start from the bottom and there's a little part of you that just goes, am I enough? Is it a good idea? Am I dreaming too big? And then there's the other part that says, why the hell not? What's the worst thing that can happen? They can just say no. So we're stoked to be in Melbourne. We do intend to change the world. And we hope there's a collaboration somewhere in the room that can help us do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Penny. Okay, well, I wanted to just say some final thank yous again to Kensington Collective to hosting. Industry support is also extremely, extremely important to us, so I definitely want to have one more round of applause for our amazing judges. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out and for giving us your expertise. So thank you to the judges. Thank you to Max and to RetailTech Melbourne for helping put this together. And the final thank you goes to all of you because this event is about collaboration and about our community. So take the rest of the night to meet each other, talk to each other, and help this community grow. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month for Sports Tech and Wearables. Have a good night.